Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 112 of A Year of Change. This week, made a few changes, hopefully for the better. If you remember, there's a very weird noise. If you remember, last week, I had done quite a bit of shitty snacking. I had still stayed under all my calories each day, but I wasn't eating. I sort of had cut down on the fruits and vegetables and things like that, and my eating patterns had sort of changed to a point where I was doing a lot more in my head grazing. But when you're grazing on pretzels and what was the other thing? Chocolate covered pretzels. So two different kinds of pretzels. Grazing is not grazing, it's snacking all the time. And although I stayed under my goal, calorie wise, I wasn't getting fruits and vegetables and protein and all the good stuff that you actually need. It was still sort of junk foody. So I didn't notice much of a change. Didn't really notice a lot of progress. So this week I wanted to sort of change that up, which I've done. I've vastly increased the amount of fruits and vegetables that I'm eating. I've gone back and bought some more apples because I haven't had those in forever, which I'd completely forgotten about. And then earlier on this week, I went there and I haven't had apples in a long, long time. And plus, I still have some frozen grapes in my freezer. Obviously, I'm not sure how else they would be. So I, had some of those and just trying to get away from all the other stuff that I've been eating for a little too long. We're all going to have bad weeks like that where you just you're like, yeah, still under my goal. I'm still doing fine, but I'm not eating healthy. And I could feel a difference by the end of it. So hopefully this week is going to be a little bit better. I'll find out tomorrow when I do my weigh-in what progress I've made that way. I've still been doing the treadmill. I've still been walking up the hill when I park every day. So at least there's still that. But I wanted to sort of get away from the just not exactly, well, it's sort of junk food. Yeah, that's just junk food. Like pretzel things. It's just bread. So I suppose. Anyway, junk food things. Trying to get away from those again because, again, it was just sort of the whole scheduling thing, which I try to use as an excuse, but it really isn't. It just didn't prepare anything properly enough and just thought, oh, it's much easier doing this. So stopped going and buying all the stuff that I was and sort of changed things up a bit more. I started actually still didn't really prepare what I was supposed to for the week, but I found a new spot that it's new to us anyway. It's been around for 20 years. And it's essentially just a giant salad in a pita. And you can throw in like chicken or whatever you want. And I think I had like a gyro meat in there at one point and then a falafel and trying all sorts of new stuff. But at the end, you can basically just pack it full of whatever you want. And it's the size of a football by the time you're done. So it's a tremendous amount of food. They're about 500 calories each, so they're really, really low, considering for the amount of food that you're getting. But I've gone there 3 or 4 times this week, so I've been getting a lot more vegetables that way. I've been changing up the snacks that I have here. I bought a big tray of grape tomatoes, so I'm trying to, I'd rather have something like that than chocolate-covered pretzels. Not just for the calories, but just because I want to get away from that. And that's the main thing, is that changing up the way that I've been eating over the past week, I think hopefully is going to help. And I need to get back on track as well because it wasn't really a bad week. I didn't eat to a point where I'm just snacking on a whole bunch of stuff. I tracked every single thing. And it was nice to have a bit of a treat at that point. But after a while, you just kind of think, I don't want to do this anymore. So, which I haven't gotten to that point with the vegetables and stuff because I can always change it up and try something different. With the junk food, I guess, there's salty and then there's sweet and that's pretty much it. And kind of tastes the same. I bought even the cookies, which are a very rare thing for me to buy. But I bought them probably, a few weeks ago now. I'm trying to think of the exact time frame and I can't. But I still have over half a package left and it's just a small pack, like say a dozen cookies. And I don't even think I've gone through half of them. And so they might actually be stale. I don't know. But usually I'll have one and I'm fine at that stage. I mean, that's a sugar thing, so I'm not huge into that. I'm more of a salt person. And a lot of the stuff that I was snacking on was salty stuff, like the little pretzel nugget things, which are really, really low in calories, but they're not great for, sodium and everything else. And, of course, they have no nutritional value in them whatsoever. So, the tomatoes, on the other hand, are just as salty, and at least I feel better eating those. Don't feel quite as guilty. So, hopefully these changes are going to make some difference. Even if I don't make a lot of progress, at least I know that I'm eating healthier. So, I have that. So, at least there's that. The rest of the week was fairly uneventful. Not much has changed. My schedule's pretty much the same. I'm still doing my routine. I'm still parking way up on Shitty Hill. Even days, there was, one day that I was able to find a spot fairly close to the entrance. So I walked up the hill and walked back down because I want to still do that until I'm to a stage where I won't feel guilty not doing it. And it's a tiny, tiny amount of exercise. But it's, again, better than nothing, which is what I'm looking for. The only thing I'm looking at right now is the treadmill. And I think I may have spoken about this before, that when we're exercising, when I track it, I can track exactly how many calories I've burned just from the amount of time I've been on there, and then I put in my weight and the speed and everything else. And although on those days, I always feel better, and it has been helping, I find that I eat more on those days than I normally would, and it's because I have the extra calories. If you're burning an extra 800 calories, there's that part of you that thinks, I have an extra 800 calories. I can eat extra stuff today. And I want to try to get away from that. Not that I can say, okay, well, it's 800 calories, so I can't have anything extra at all. But I don't want to get to a point where I'm saying, oh, well, technically I'm still under my calorie goal when I'm still eating. Although I'm burning 800 calories off, I don't want to eat back 600 or 700 of those. They say you're supposed to. That if you are exercising, you need to replace that. But, that's just sort of to maintain health and things like that. But it's to a stage that I've got a lot of extra weight, so I don't think it's going to kill me to sort of offset that by a couple of hundred calories. I don't want to say, okay, well, I'm going to, burn off 800 calories, but I'm still going to stay at my regular goal that I would on my non-treadmill days. Eventually, I will probably get to that point, because that's going to sort of come with tweaking our food so that we're matching what we're doing to maintain or to lose, and things like that. But I think what I want to do is, like we did, if you remember, way at the beginning, when we first started tracking absolutely everything, where we were tracking fluids, but we weren't counting them. And we had that little thing that we could offset our tracking with. I'm thinking I may do something like that as well, just to sort of, on the days when I do my treadmill, I can say, okay, say that I burn 823 calories. Well, then I can offset and just sort of round it down to something like 800 or 700, maybe start at 800, and then gradually, say, once a week, cut down by another 100. I'm still going to have that little bit of a buffer, but I want to get to that point where the exercise I am doing on the treadmill is actually producing more results and that it's being more beneficial. It's not just me saying, oh, well, I've burned off 800 calories, so now I can have ice cream. Because although I'm still losing, overall, it is helping, obviously. I'm feeling better, and the exercise benefits from it as well, obviously, are going to be helpful. But I don't want to have it so that I'm using it as an excuse to eat more. Because, again, that's the real focus of my problem, is the overeating. So if I can get to a stage where every single day I eat the same amount, regardless as to whether or not I'm actually running, so funny. Whether or not I'm using my treadmill, I have yet to run on the thing. Eventually I will, don't worry. But if I can get to a stage where I'm still eating properly, like a normal person should be eating during those days, then I think that's going to help in the long run as well. And once we start tweaking things, then definitely I'm going to need to start focusing more on cutting back on sodium and probably not cutting back too much on sugar, although I haven't measured how much I'm taking in, so it could be higher than I think. But that's going to come with it as well, that start really focusing on eating healthier and, contributing or having the exercise contribute. Let's try that again. So, having it to a point where I can, eat properly and have the exercise contribute to that health, much better now, then, that's where I want to get to. So I think I may start just by rounding down however many calories I've burned, and then round it down to the nearest 100, and then maybe 100 or even slower, going 50 each week as I do that. Just to sort of gradually get down to a point where after 10 or 12 weeks, then it's again part of the routine, and I'm not just saying, great, this means I can have 10 more cookies today. Because again, that focus on the overeating portion of it is my main problem, which is much, much better now. Although I gotta say, with those pita sandwich things, they are massive. I'm not exaggerating when I say they're the size of a football. They're probably about, well, actually I am exaggerating. They're probably about, when they're really the biggest one that I've had, which was just pretty much all vegetables, but it was just jam-packed full of stuff. Like, it had split. It was so full, it just couldn't contain it. And if you think of a regular pita, how big they are, if you hollow that out and fill it up as much as you can, it's probably about half the size of a football. Wonderful speech. So yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of food, which it felt really good because there was a lot of different vegetables in there, and they've got all tons of stuff in there. But again, I got to get away from that overeating thing, even if it's vegetables. Although I'm just at this stage still looking at it going, vegetables are way better than having chocolate-covered pretzels and the little chocolatey, grainy, crackery, s'more bits that I was eating before. Even if it's low calorie, there's nothing in it. So eating healthier, still eating a little too much, but eating healthier. So there is that trade-off, and I'm hoping it's worked this week, but I'll find out tomorrow for sure. Even if it hasn't, then at least I know that, I'm still, in my head, I'm still doing the right thing. So I'm going to start working on that and, done much, much better. I think that I'm probably going to see a little bit more than the half pound that I lost the week before. But if not, I'll just change it again, keep going, see what I can do. Tweaking things is what we're here to do, I guess. Bit by bit and week by week, and hopefully get to where we need to be. I've been trying to get these down a little more. We've had a long number of videos that are quite long because I tend to babble. But I'm trying to be a little bit more prepared this week, so this one won't be as long. But before I do go, I'm not going to let you go yet. I do want to share one weird thing that happened. Just sort of a fancy story. Fancy story. I don't even want to say it. Not even fancy. It's just a weird story that happened to me yesterday. This is not the story with a bad word. Don't worry. That is still coming. Generally, when I go to work, I work from 3 to 11. So I usually leave my house around 1-ish. I pick up a coworker. We drive to work, or, that's when I was usually going and getting the snacky bits and taking them to work with me. And then there all day, and then drive her back home. And then at some point, sometimes at the end of the week, we'll go and do grocery shopping and stuff like that if she needs to pick up something on the way home, which we did yesterday. So by the time I got home, it was around 1 in the morning. I'd gone for a late night coffee with a friend of mine. So for about 13 hours, I was gone. When I got home at 1 o'clock, finally get home, grab all my stuff out of the car, walking to my front door, and put the key in, and the door opens. So my door was unlocked and partially open before I turned the key. So, of course, the first thing that you think of at this stage is someone's in my house. So, went inside, very dark, because I usually just turn all the lights off anyway. So, turn on the lights thinking I'm going to see there's stuff that's going to be missing. Went to my living room. Everything was still there. Came in to my office here. Everything is still here. All my gear is set up. Nothing had changed. Now, I know that my landlord was supposed to come into my apartment at some point during this week because they're fixing something in the plumbing and he needed access to it, but he just hasn't shown up yet. So I haven't really sent anything out to him today to find out if it was him that was in here, but I didn't see anything that showed that someone was in here. Everything was where it was supposed to be. There was nothing extra like dirt tracked on the floor, anything like that. So I have a really sneaking suspicion that I was just stupid and just walked out without locking my door. which is very, very dumb. So I do not recommend it. But it's one of those things that I have a really hard time seeing myself doing that, because I'm one of those people that after I'm done, most days I have to come back and go, okay, I've got to double check to make sure that I locked everything up. So I've got to send something out to him anyway, just to find out, were you in my apartment? Because if you were, when you leave, close the fucking door. I don't want to get robbed. Of course, to myself, I should probably say the same thing. If you leave, close your fucking door and lock it. Because it's just insanely stupid to leave it unlocked. But I'm really, I don't know. I'll let you know if I find out what happened. If it was my landlord or if it was me. If it was me, I'm going to be very, 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 very embarrassed, because that's a really stupid thing to do. So, but generally, I double check and I triple check just to make sure. So I don't know what would have happened. But it's nice to know that I live in a good enough neighborhood that I can leave my door unlocked for 13 hours and just don't automatically get robbed. So, yay! Good times. One of the benefits of living in a small-ish town in Canada. So, enjoy. Take that, all you big city people that are getting robbed every day by leaving your door unlocked. I don't know who you are, where you live, but you have my sympathies. So, I'm also putting this one up a little bit earlier today than I did last week. Last week, I cut it way too close. I'm still running late today, obviously. I try to get these in there before noon, but on the weekends, I'm just too lazy. I don't want to do anything. So, I need to start. But this one's much earlier. This one's like 5 or 6 hours earlier than the last one. So, I shall have plenty of time to get it up there and not just cut it right under the wire, because I need one every day. If I don't have one every day, it's going to drive me batty. If I see that 1 day discrepancy in there, that would probably drive me nuts. I'd have to do something, and I don't know what you could do. I have to write YouTube and say, I need you to put this so it published a day earlier. And they would just say, no, that's crazy, stop calling us. Which would make no sense, because it was an email and not a phone call, so I don't know why they said it. You're ridiculous. There's no just logic to it at all. Anyway, I'm going to cut this one off here so that I don't ramble on for another 20 minutes. And find out if my landlord was in my apartment. And if he wasn't, I have to put a big note saying, you're stupid, lock your door when you leave. And myself, which is going to make me feel sad, but what can you do? So for right now, thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.